Hello, my name is Mike. This is a bike, but once again, we're not working on the bike. This episode, we're back on the Yard Art Cougar. Now, in the last couple of episodes, I did a whole lot of stuff, but nothing really got finished. I've got a checklist. Every time I look at this car, I find more and more stuff that needs attention. And the list keeps going, and nothing seems to get scratched off the list. So in this episode, the goal is to scratch everything off that list. No. I'll consider it a win if I can scratch just one thing off the list. Anyway, I got the parts I was waiting for so I can finish the heater core job. I have a couple of seats that I want to put in it, but they're totally different bolt pattern, so I've got to make up some adapters before I can put them in. And then, of course, I've got to finish laying out that carpet, get it put in place. I've also got to look at my park brake. For some reason, the cable doesn't move. I've been soaking it with some penetrant, so hopefully I can get that cable freed up. And, you know, you can look at the list. You'll see there's just a lot of stuff. Anyway, if you want to see if I actually finish something, stick around.
Somewhere in a dusty, dirty back alley in western Arizona, not far from historic Route 66, is an old fart trying to cram a square peg into a round hole. He'll work on anything, just as long as it's got at least 2 cool wheels.
So this bolt pattern is much narrower than the bolt pattern on these seats. These seats are in extremely decent condition, extremely good condition. But I've got to come up with something that's going to narrow that bolt pattern down a little, both width and fore and aft, and line up with the holes. So these are different. That's going to take a little measuring. Oh my God, I actually have to measure and do math. Got a line on a guy out in California who's got a seat back for a Mustang. It's almost identical to this, except it's not leather, it's vinyl. But I can get it really, really cheap. And I'm trying to make arrangements for a mutual friend, to pick it up and bring it out this way. So hopefully that'll pan out. And there's the AC drain tube that I was waiting for. Seems a little long. And I got the vacuum actuator I was looking for. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So that's good. problem is I couldn't get this to pull away from the firewall. And you can see the hole there it was in. The nut was off, but it just simply would not come out no matter what I did. So I took, pretty much all the other ducting out to get it out of my way. Finally pulled it loose, and now I should be able to, the operative word here, be able to stuff that heater box back in. In a way, though, it was kind of a blessing because, well, turns out the defroster duct, which I went to put back in, wasn't being held in by anything. The little stud thingies on the top were missing all the nuts, all but one. And the one that still had a nut on it, well, the plastic broke. So I'll fix all that stuff too. But I'm going to fix all that stuff while I can still get to it. Because with that heater case in the way, I might not be able to. It snowballs, So as I mentioned, this piece broke off, so we're gonna use 2-part epoxy to glue that. But up here, there's a chunk missing, and here's a chunk missing. So I used my favorite source of bulk plastic, an old container lid, and I cut a little segment that goes here. We'll glue in. And a segment here, which we'll glue in and then drill a hole. And then we can put this defroster duct back in the car. Alrighty. While the epoxy is drying, I'm going to remove these little end pieces. There's one on each end of the dash that were part of the dash pad that came up through here. So they've got to come out. I have not found a dash pad for it yet, and in fact, because they're so bloody expensive, like $700, that's almost worth more than the car. Since they're $700, I might just fabricate my own dash pad, using cardboard and foam and hefty bags, whatever it takes. But I got to get these out regardless. Oh, look, I can finally scratch something off of my list. Ain't much, but it's a start. My park brake wouldn't work, and all the cables underneath were free and moved freely. But I found that there's a section that goes through a jacket that goes down through the floorboard there, right there. And so I soaked that with some penetrant. Let's see if this will... Hey, that freed it up. It's not locking, but yeah, there it goes. And the other thing is, it didn't have a light. And I think the light switch should be on the housing, but I don't see one. It goes right here, and it's missing. It's missing in action. We'll look online. See if I can get a new switch. Ow. Because it's not there. It's missing. They don't make them anymore. And a used one is $180. Guess what's not going back on the car? Means I get to actually scratch something off. Park brake. Ooh. That's 2. More than I'd hoped for. And I'm still trying to make heads or tails out of these vacuum lines. The diagram on the internet is, well, it's different than what I've got here. So I'm trying to figure out. There's a couple different ways these were done. Evidently there was a mid-year change or something. All right, well, we'll get it figured out. So... the one that goes to the lower vacuum switch. Ouch. Black from there, so that would be this one. So I was checking stuff out. I took an ohm meter to this switch right here and found it doesn't work at all. The vacuum actuator works, but the switch is no bueno. I'm going to take it off, take it apart, see if I can't fix it, because I'm sure if I find one on eBay, it'll be $472.68, which I don't have. So we'll try to fix the old one. I pried up the little dog ears and pulled this switch apart, and you can see it's got some crusty stuff in there. So that explains why it's not working. It's like grease or something just dried up from 146 years of being in the sun. We'll go ahead and clean it up, and I'll bet you it works just fine. A little bit of cleaning, a little lubricating. It's amazing what cleaning and lubricating can do for things. I'm not entirely sure what this switch does. I think this turns on the AC compressor when you're in defrost mode. But the important thing is that now it works. So we'll put that back in. Problem that I had with this whole thing was getting that blower motor housing to separate from the firewall. Even though the nut was off, and that's this one right here, even though the nut was off, it got bound up in that hole. Going back in was every bit as bad, and what I ended up doing was wallering the hole out, and then the stud was able to come through, and I was able to get a nut on it. I put some glue around it because the hole's oversized now. But then once that was able to go in and out, the whole case kind of went into place pretty easily. And then I sealed a bunch of other holes that were on the firewall. And I also routed all the vacuum hoses properly. These two here, this one's supposed to go to a heater control valve, which isn't even on the car. That's pretty easy to get, just a vacuum controlled heater control valve. And this one's supposed to go to the vacuum reservoir, which is right down here. And then the engine source vacuum goes to the bottom nipple down there. Problem is, I checked this, it does not hold vacuum. So I've got to find a vacuum reservoir. I may not use a factory one. Anyone will do, just something that stores vacuum for the AC system. But there's two more things I can check off my list. I got the heater case back in, and I got all the vacuum lines connected. Yay! So even though I got those completed, the snowballing continues because, well, this speaker up in the dash is pretty much toast. So add that to the list of stuff I got to come up with. Vacuum tank, heater valve, speaker, stuff. Alrighty, got the engine running, got a little vacuum going. We're going to prove that all these actuators are actually working. So let's see here. Flip the lever. Going way in the back there, you can see it going up and down. Okay, let's try the defrost door. Let's go to defrost. There it goes. And our heat door is also moved, so let's go back the other way. And it releases, and I can't quite see the one on top, but that would be the recirculate door. That's the brand new one, so I'm gonna call it good. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. This is connected where that heater valve is going to go. So right now I've got it set to full cold, so when vacuum is applied, it shuts flow to the heater core. So now I can cross a couple more things off the list. Vacuum lines, those are all done. And then here's the big one, the heater core. Damn near killed me. I gotta say, I've done a lot of heater cores and dashes. That definitely has to be one of the worst I've ever done. Part of it's because the car is so old, but the majority of it's because I'm so old. But now we have to add some stuff. We need a vacuum type heater valve, LVE. We need a vacuum reservoir. Can't do this with one hand. RES. We need a speaker. Now, what goes with a speaker? What makes a speaker make noise? Yeah, a radio. The car doesn't even have a radio, so we got to find some kind of a radio, stereo, cassette player, 8-track player. That's what that car needs. Anyway, as you can see, the list keeps growing. It shrinks a little and grows a little. It never goes away. But the good news is some of my parts are starting to land, so we can keep on going. Excelsior Henderson, number 302, has come by for a visit. We're going to try to get her running, so that'll probably be in some upcoming videos. And Scott, her owner, was kind enough to stop by and pick up this back seat for me. This is actually out of a Mustang, and you can tell because the ribs go the opposite way. But is anybody going to notice? No, probably not. Well, looky here. You know what this means, don't you? It means it's time for Crafty with Cardboard. Yeah, I was pretty lucky to find these. It's been raining and they're not completely saturated. They're still fairly stiff, and I can use them for making my templates. I need a template for a dash pad I'm going to try to create out of whole cloth or plastic or cardboard. I'm going to need a template for the package tray in the back window. And I'm going to need some kind of a template so I can plot out how to make my seat adapters. So, cardboard to the rescue! Get over there. Alrighty, I was able to make a template for the dash pad. I didn't have to use cardboard to make one for the package tray because, well, I use the actual package tray as a template. It's, kind of disintegrating and crumbling, so I got to be very careful as I try to maneuver it into place. But anyway, I can now cut out a fresh piece for the package tray. I'll cut out a piece for the dash pad, and then I'll cover this with a little bit of foam and some black vinyl. It'll probably look kind of cobbly, but it's better than nothing. And then this one, I just simply use the seat track on one of the red seats to punch holes in it. And now I can lay this up against the seat tracks of the new seats, so I know exactly where to make some brackets that will extend out, and I can make metal brackets that will allow that seat to bolt into place of these bolt holes. So that's the plan. Maybe we'll start putting something back together here. We keep taking stuff apart. Now I didn't mark the speaker holes because, well, I don't have a stereo. I figured I can always cut those later if I do install a stereo. Just for now, this is good enough just to cover that back package tray. I'll just cut it right here on lines. The only drawback to using the hood as a work surface is that, well, I could scratch the paint. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. Just what I was afraid of. Let's scratch the paint. Dang it. That's all right. We got rattle cans. The rear is done. Everything except, of course, the headliner, but that's going to have to wait. But we got our package tray made and in place. Used seat back, and we're working on the carpet still a little bit, and got some more stuff going on. There's my form. That's going to be a dash pad. So that's all cut out of the same type of press board. I'll get some foam and some vinyl on it. And then I Siamesed two small speakers together to take the place of that damaged one. There were cheap ones I had laying around. So that way, if I do put a stereo in, I've got two separate channels. It most likely will just be an AM. We'll see what I can find. And of course, the speakers came with 476 miles of freaking cable. Goodness. But anyway, so that's what those cut wires were on this side over here. Those cut wires were the power supply for the radio. The only problem is when I put this dash panel back in, I may have interference right here with those toggle switches that go in this area. We'll find out. Package tray, speaker. More parts have arrived as well. This is a door jamb switch that was missing. And another one. Door jamb switch. you might be asking, what am I doing? Cutting a piece of diamond plate in half. You might be asking, why are you cutting a piece of diamond plate in half? I'll give you a clue. Seat mounting template. Getting the picture? You might also be asking, why am I wearing a red shirt? Well, if you want to find out the answer to that question and other questions, you're just going to have to come back for the next episode. See, well, we're up against that roughly 30-minute-ish time frame that I've made for myself for no apparent reason other than I just don't have a lot of memory on my computer. And so I can't make my episodes real long. We got a bunch of stuff scratched off the list. Come on back for the next episode, and we can scratch some more stuff off the list. And, make kind of a nicer, better car out of it. Thanks for watching. Oh, and, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. The three big ones. Damn crap batteries.